What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Reseller Podcast, where we talk about things marketing and things reselling. And guys, today I am very honored to bring on Camron. Camron has been a longtime friend. He's worked with me in multiple businesses at this point, and I kind of want to really start with his story and kind of go from there, because he was a fantastic reseller. He's now, I believe, training salespeople. He went up the ladder really quickly, and it was something I really enjoyed seeing. And as many of you know, I talk about this a lot. I use reselling. I personally use reselling as a stepping stone, and that's what I teach as well. That you guys shouldn't stay in reselling forever, and that it should be something that you grow out of and take on bigger opportunities through the skill sets that you've learned from reselling. So, Camron, I'm just going to ask you a few questions, bro. We're not going to keep this thing super long because I know people don't really watch super long videos or listen to them that much unless they're me, because I know there's a whole lot of juicy stuff in certain podcasts. So Let's start with you, bro. Like, tell us where you started, and then we'll kind of move up to where you're at now.
Yeah, man. First off, thank you for having me on this podcast. This is a wonderful opportunity. And I think, if you want to start at the beginning, we have to fast forward back to 2016.
Yeah.
I was living in a really small 1-bedroom apartment. I was waiting tables for a living, 24 years old. I think it was just a simple Google search, man. I was looking up how to make money with a side hustle, or how to make an extra $1,000 in a month, or something like that, something along those lines. And I came across this guy that you and I both know and love named Dave Kosciuszko.
Yep.
And found his YouTube channel. I just started absorbing all of the content. I started diving in, just really eating up everything. I loved it. I fell in love with it. And without any prior knowledge, I didn't know what phone flipping was. I didn't know what any of this stuff was. I went on to Craigslist just after feeling really excited, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a millionaire after 2 months of doing this shit. I went on to Craigslist. I found a broken, cracked, iCloud locked iPhone 6. I bought it for $90. I listed it on eBay for 100, and I think back then they were going for like 180 or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But it sold right away in a couple of hours. And I'm like, holy shit, I just doubled my money. That's it. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to do this full time. And then a couple days later, I shipped it out. It arrived. A couple days later, I get an email on eBay. The guy's like, yeah, this thing is iCloud locked. I want my money back. Return. Depressed. I'm like, shit, like there's no money in this. So I gave it up, and I gave it up for a few years. I'm like, you know what, this is a big scam. This is just some guy on the internet trying to take people's money with some program. So I just gave it up, and I looked the other way. Fast forward to 2018. I don't remember what happened. I was still waiting tables for a living. I don't remember what sparked my interest, but I came across Dave again, and I decided to actually purchase the program. It was $1,000, which was, for me back then, that was a lot of money. Yeah. It was more money than I had to my name. And I think I remember doing like the 3-pay of like $350 or something like that. And even that was nerve-wracking. $350 coming out of my bank account for a program that I don't even know is going to work. Took the program, had a little bit of success with it, and then I just kind of gave up after a couple months. Again, I just, I wasn't really seeing the results as fast as I wanted to. And I just kind of gave it up again, went back to waiting tables. And that was just kind of a pattern for a long time. And then it wasn't until around COVID, right when COVID hit, that I actually started to take it seriously. I still had access to the program. I dove right back into the modules. I really started to pick it apart and study the material, and then implement the material, knowing that I was probably going to make mistakes, but it's okay because you learn from them and you can kind of course correct and readjust, and then refine your approach from there. So I did, and I actually in March of 2020, I hit my first $10,000 month. I think, to be precise, it was $13,000 in like 21 days or something like that. So 3 weeks. And I was ecstatic. I think the profit on that was like $5,000, which again, for me at the time, that was more money than I had ever made at all in my life up to that point. And so I was through the roof. I think my biggest aha moment was not the fact that I made that much money. It wasn't the fact that I hit 13K in 3 weeks and that it was actually possible. But I think the first thought that I had in my head was, I finally get to have my interview with Dave. So I did my interview with Dave, and that was like, I dressed up. I think I wore like a suit and a tie, and I was over the moon. I thought I was talking to a celebrity, man. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, that was kind of the beginning of my reselling journey. I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but COVID happened. And that for me, that kind of took a hit on my reselling. So again, I gave it up. That was right around the time where I got robbed at gunpoint too. Yeah. And I had heard of people getting robbed, but I had never actually known that it was a real thing that could happen to me, and it happened. And then that's when I was like, I'm never doing this again. So fast forward.
I remember that post. And just so you guys know, that only happens when you don't follow the stuff that's recommended. Like Camron, you met somebody in a parking lot, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Don't meet people in parking lots, guys. That's not a smart thing to do. Just so you guys know, it happened to me, and it was all because I didn't do what was said. Like, I didn't follow the procedure that Dave had already put in place. Like, meet people in public places and things like that, right? Like
bill of sale every single time. Bill of sale.
Tell people you're bringing a bill of sale. That's going to scare those people right off.
Yeah. And always have people come to you.
Yep.
I think that was like the biggest thing that I learned was stop wasting your time, your energy, your gas money, and your efforts driving to people, and hold your authority, hold your confidence, and have people come to you. That was my biggest game changer.
Yeah. And that's a big part of what I teach. I think I was the one that really started teaching that. Is it's like, because my wife was the one who was like, why can't you just meet people like twice a day? And I was just like, well, you know what? Let me try it. And there's the birth of the scheduled meetup model, right?
Yep.
So, but dude, so all of that happened, and then you got back into reselling like 2 months later, and then you really took off, if I remember correctly.
I did. Yeah, it was I can't remember. I'm not good with dates and timelines. I have a 5-year-old brain. But there was one point where I got back into it. I think another reseller in Dave's program, he had his own, Eric Strand. Yeah. He had an Instagram course where he he taught Instagram ads. And so once I took that course, it was like a $600 course. I took it. I learned everything I could about Instagram ads, because that was relatively new at the time. Yep, nobody was doing Instagram ads. And so I did that, and I exploded. I was getting 30, 40 leads a day. I was having everybody come to me. My script and my negotiating was on point because of Aaron Goldstein and all of the help that I had from him. And everything was just, I was doing 20, 30K sales a month for, multiple months in a row. I was clearing 8 to 10 grand a month profit. And I was working, I would start at 9 a.m. I would be done at 2, and then I would have the rest of the day to do whatever the hell I wanted to do. And it was really my first taste of financial freedom and time freedom. Yeah. And then I got robbed again. I got robbed at gunpoint again because I got a little bit too arrogant, a little bit too cocky. And I decided, you know what? This is a repeat customer. He's come to me several times. I trust this guy. So I'm just going to go meet him in another parking lot. And I got robbed again at gunpoint. And then that's when I kind of gave up the business for good. That's when I decided to hang my hat. I'm like, you know what? I was engaged at the time. I'm like, I have too much on the line. I have too much to risk. I have too much to lose. I'm going to call it quits. I've made my money. I've had my success. I've made wonderful connections. I met you. I met Dave. I met a lot of really amazing people. I've had my success, and I'm just going to call it quits right here. So that was kind of the rise and fall of my phone flipping journey, if you will. And then from there, that was also, working with you. That was another opportunity that led me into an industry called high ticket coaching, which
Yeah.
again is something that I had never heard of.
Well, let me
And
back that up a little bit. Like,
yeah.
so just so you guys know, at this point, as Camron was, running his reselling business and everything, I was already Dave's client success coach for a while. So that's kind of how I got my start in the industry with coaching. Is I just coached under him, but I was his client success coach. I was the one who set people's ads up. I was the guy for that. Like, I was the one who answered all the questions, right? And so we were getting to the point where we were bringing on quite a few people, and I was actually the one doing all the sales calls at that point to bring people on, making sure they were a good fit, all of that. And I had already gone through some coaching for this, with a company called Clients and Community, which Camron will talk about here in a minute, probably. And I learned how to do high ticket sales myself. And so that's what we did. We started really coaching people on how to do this correctly. So they, we could basically take all of the mistakes that we have made in the past and just, break it down so that people didn't make them and they could get to where we were in less than 6 months. That was the whole point. And it worked very well. And it is working very well now. So we were looking for somebody to kind of take my place as the salesperson, because I was wearing like 5 hats at the time. I was the marketer, I was a client success coach, I was a sales guy, like I was all of it, right? While I was running my reselling business at the same time, just so you guys know, I was doing all of it. And so we did that, and I posted in our client only Facebook group, and I was like, hey, we're looking for sales guys. Like, we're looking for people to take this thing to the next level, help a lot more people. And and grow this thing, to help, just help more people have what Camron had, without the whole, obviously, the bad stuff. But I mean, that's what happens when you don't follow, the things. Like I've learned that process myself. When you don't follow, when you get unfortunately arrogant and think teenager style where we know everything, right? Instead of following a process, that is the type of stuff that happens. When you stop doing bill of sales, that's the stuff that happens. Like, and I know people watching this are like, people don't want to sign bill of sales. I don't care. Like, if they don't want to sign that, I'm not buying their stuff. Right now, if it's like a game console or something like that, that's a little different. Like, but when it's phones, they're signing it no matter what. Just because the scams are high there. And that is another reason, like, we're moving into game consoles, Oculus, things like that. But that's for a different thing. So you got introduced to high ticket coaching whenever we hired you to do that for us. So yeah, talk a little bit about that, man.
Yeah. That was kind of the birth of a whole new journey. And it's a journey that I'm still on currently to this day. And it's a career for me now. I didn't know it at the time. At the time, I thought it was just a side gig to make a little bit of extra money. I think Dave was talking about the potential to make an extra $400 to $600 a week if I do really, really well. Yeah. And I wasn't a salesperson at first. I think if you remember, I was an appointment setter.
Bro, yeah, you were setting them up for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I was an appointment setter. So basically, I was just messaging all of the people who raised their hand or showed interest in the free Facebook group, having a strategic messenger conversation with them, and then booking them in on Chris's calendar for a sales call. Mm-hmm. And so if Chris was able to close that person on the call, I would receive a commission of that sale. And for me, that was really cool because I didn't have to talk to anybody. All I had to do is just copy paste messages and just, send out messages and just get paid. I just got paid to send out messages. And that was really cool. So I think that first week, after learning the script and the process and everything, I think I cleared like 3 or 4 sales. So that was like $600 or $800 for me that first week. And that for me, that just kind of lit something on fire in me, where I was thinking, like, I've never heard of this before. I think there's something here. I think there's something in this. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if I'm going to be a millionaire doing this, but there is something here. So I think I should stay and kind of pursue it. So I did it. I did it for a couple months. And then I also had expressed to Chris very, very candidly, I'm like, hey, I don't want to do this forever. I'm happy to do it, but I would like to explore whatever that next opportunity looks like. I know you're taking sales calls. I'd love to give that a try if the opportunity ever arises. So a couple months later, Chris approached me and he was like, hey, dude, you're doing a bang up job with the appointment setting. You want to give a couple sales calls a try? Because we're getting a lot of appointments right now. I've got a busy schedule. And if you want to take a couple off my plate, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
So
at that point I was doing ad call setups like every day, like 2 or 3 a day. It was insane on top of the sales calls. So I was on top of buying stuff, right?
yeah.
So it was
You had
wild.
like 5 strategy sessions a day, 5 sales calls a day, and then you had your ad setup calls, and then you had your reselling business. So I don't know how you went out of how you didn't go out of your mind.
Oh, I was. That's why I asked you to go to sales training. Like I literally couldn't handle the load anymore. Like it was good problems, right? We were making money. Like they were great problems. And on top of that, we were helping a lot of people. That
Yeah.
was the great thing about it. We were helping, people really get started in this industry really quickly, because we were setting people's ads up same day, like almost the next day after they signed the document and everything. And like, they were ready to go. Leads coming in, firing on all cylinders. It was great,
Yeah. Yeah. Life is good. So I did that. I started taking over the sales calls, and that was, now I had been in sales my whole life. I'd been exposed to sales, but high ticket sales is a whole different animal.
Mhm.
And if you ever get into, if you're watching this and you don't know, if you ever do decide to pursue high ticket sales, regardless of whatever your sales background is, you have to come into it with a beginner mindset, because it's a completely different type of selling.
Yeah.
It's very emotional. It's very prospect focused. And it's just I mean, this is a whole rabbit hole that I could
Oh
talk for
yeah.
hours about, but it's just a different ball game. It's a whole different beast.
Yeah. I still
So
remember all the calls I had with you, like training you on how to do, because you came in with a different selling mindset.
yeah,
Whereas this type of selling is like the way you sell it isn't actually selling. It's like
yeah,
can we actually help this person? And if
yeah,
not, get off the call. That's how
yeah,
it is. And it was way different than like, I think you came from like car sales.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
was like a total flip, right? And it was more coaching than it was selling.
yeah,
And I think that was the biggest thing that we had to teach, was like that part. You have to coach them first on like what to do and how to do it. And then like if they need us, great. Here's how you join us, right? Like, but like that's kind of how it was way different.
yeah. And that's the thing. It's, beyond the coaching, I think a really big component to that was alignment, right? Is there even a sale to be made here? And I remember, I'll never forget learning that script. That script, I had never seen anything like it before. And the very beginning of that script was, when you're framing the call, you say to them something along the lines of, hey, look, all I want to do is ask you a few questions, see what's going on, what the challenges are, what your visions for the future are. And I really just want to see if I can help in the first place. Now, if I can help, great. I'll walk you through what we have. If I don't really feel like this is something that's in alignment with where you want to go, however, I probably won't offer you anything out of being over ethical. I'll still leave you with a solid plan of action either way. So you're very detached from
Yep.
any outcome, and you're just there, and you make it very clear that you're just there to help them. And people love that level of transparency. I think the transparency really helps too. And that's another really big piece that I had to learn and get used to. And I remember shadowing you. I remember you messaging me like, hey, if you're not doing anything, hop on. I got a couple calls if you want to shadow me. And so, dude, I was just taking notes
Yeah.
on there on mute, just watching you. And it was that was a lot of fun too, learning that process.
And just so you guys know, this is a skill set that, had to be cultivated. I didn't have it at first. Like all I knew is how to sell people on my service, right? And like how to give people money for their devices. Like this was a completely different animal than what I was used to. And it was a skill set that I had to learn. And then I had to train Camron and then a few other guys on this as well. And now like, a couple months after that, everything crashed and burned, right? Like, because, and just so you guys know, the way everything crashed and burned is Facebook decided to restrict my ad account. And we were at this point bringing on a lot of people a month. Like it was like probably 15, 25 people a month. I know we got up to like 40,000 in revenue one month. And then Facebook literally canned the whole thing. Like we lost pretty much everything that we had been trying to build because we were bringing in 50 people a day to the Facebook group. It was a lot of people. And because I had 3 setters, like you guys were split up like 15, 15, 15. And, you know, and it was wild, you know, so that crashed and burned. Me and Dave couldn't do anything about that. Like that was a total, eventually I got everything back up, but it wasn't nowhere near. Because guys, and let me explain this really quickly on the marketing side of things. Once you get Facebook ads dialed in to bringing in the right person, it gets really freaking good. And it's hard to get to that point as well. You got to like train the pixel, you got to do all the things. But like once it stops, like it did, it just destroyed the entire thing that I had built. And it was horrible. And I couldn't replicate the results. Like they had literally like shut off the money. It was crazy. And at that point is when I realized like, okay, can't have all, you know, the eggs in one basket. Like figured that out really quick. So that happened. You left. What happened after that?
Fast forward a couple months. Actually, before we fast forward, I remember getting so into sales back when we were still thriving. 40,000. I remember that $40,000 month. It was insane. I remember asking you at one point, I'm like, dude, where did you learn all this from? Like, where did you learn the skill set? How did you learn the script? Like, how did you learn this? I want to go to the source. So Chris introduced me to a company called Clients and Community. It's a coaching company. They teach people how to start, grow, and scale a coaching business where they can cultivate their skill set and teach other people how to grow in different industries and different skill sets. And inside of this company, inside of this community, there's a guy whose name is Brady McCarty. Now, Brady, if you're watching this, I love you, dude. And Brady was their top sales guy who pretty much does exactly what Chris was teaching me how to do, but at a much, much, much more monumental, much bigger level.
Millions of dollars in sales online. Millions.
Yeah. I think the last time I talked to him or the last time I saw him post about it, he said to this day, he's brought in over 50 million in high ticket sales just in the past like 5 or 6 years. So like he's one of the big players, like one of the biggest players out there. And this is who Chris was learning from. And so I got connected to Brady. And at the time, Brady was also, in addition to working for Clients and Community as a salesperson, he was also doing some sales training on the side. So I was fortunate enough to connect with him, join his sales coaching program, and just pick his brain and learn everything that I could from him. He's really big on emotional communication, tonality, connecting on a deep emotional level. He has this thing that I love, I use to this day, called piercing questions, where, you know, you ask a question, you get a surface level response. How do we pierce through that and get to the gold? How do we get to the gold underneath that? That's where the sale is made. So learning all these things from him, and it really just opened my eyes to a whole new world that I didn't know existed. And I think that's kind of a pattern throughout this interview, is that like my eyes just keep opening up. All these light bulbs keep going off in my head. I'm like, there is so much more to this than meets the eye, than what's on the surface. And so that was a whole rabbit hole for me. I worked with him for several months. At the time, I remember having a conversation with him, and he mentioned something about a guy named Richard Yu, who was some 23-year-old kid doing like 800,000 a month cash collected. And those numbers to me, I mean, those were like inhuman numbers, you know, doing kind of something similar to Clients and Community, doing his own coaching business. So I connected with Richard. I got hired as a salesperson. Fast forward a couple months, I am a sales manager. I'm managing his sales team. I did that for about a year. I left I think I left in June of 2022. I ended up moving on to a different offer. One of his competitors, his name is Bastion. He's also a guy doing 6, 7, 800,000 a month, similar niche. I came on immediately as a sales manager because he knew me from Richard, because him and Richard are competitors. And that's the other thing, dude. Yeah, dude, being in the space, the longer you're in the space and the more skills that you stack on top of each other, the more connections you make, and the more connections you make, the more doors open up, man. The
Crazy
more
part about that is like when you get really good, those people start talking about you to other people. Like it's an indirect, like word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
Like that is where the growth is like supercharged as well. Because they don't like, it's not like you're plugging for them to talk about you. Is they're talking about you by themselves. Like, hey, Camron did this month. He's freaking crushing it. He's one of my best sales guys. People remember that stuff. Like, who's this Camron guy? You know? Like, especially I have that to this day because I'm so well known in the clients and community space.
Yeah.
People talk about me all the time, and then I'm getting DMs all the time, you know?
And that's for someone like you and me, when you're hopping on these coaching calls and you're doing coaching calls for clients and you're coaching people through stuff, and you're doing these every single week and you're coaching hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over a long period of time, dude, that stacks up, man. All it takes is one person hearing what you have to say, and that could be just the one person that really needed to hear what you needed to hear, and that could also be that one person who has the right connection with somebody and they mention your name, and then all of a sudden your whole world can change overnight.
Oh, man. Yeah, big time. Yeah. So, you know, one thing I keep seeing here is like mindset shift, like over and over and over and over again. Now, I know my audience has I wouldn't say problems, but like trust issues around mindset, right? Can you talk a little bit about that? Like how you and I don't think it's just a mindset shift. I think it's more of like a, how do I even put it? Like changing a perspective, like on how things actually work compared to how you actually believed that things work.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. For context, right now, just in terms of mindset, I'm actually in I paid $15,000 to join a mastermind that's dedicated to just mindset. I'm in a mindset mastermind right now. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made, one of the best investments I've made. But to kind of speak on that, there is zero correlation between effort and income, and time, meaning the hours that you work, and income. There is no correlation between those two things. It does not matter how hard you work, and it doesn't matter how many hours you work. Those two things are not related to income. And that's one of the biggest awareness shifts and perspective shifts that I've made. I used to associate income, and I think a lot of people in the phone flipping space have this mindset. There's this false association between income and working hard and working long hours. And that's just not true. Money is, I'm going to get a little woo-woo for a second. Money is just an energy, man. Yeah. Money is just energetic.
It's a transfer of energy.
It's a transfer of energy. And so it's not about working harder or working longer. It's just about a transference of energy for equal value. And it's also about being aligned energetically with the money that you wish to make. The way to make $40,000 a month, for example, is already there. You just need to become aware of it.
There you go. That right there was perfect. I love how you said that. The steps are already in place. You just have to become aware of what the steps are.
Yeah.
And act upon those steps.
Yeah.
Like one thing I really love about what you just said a few minutes ago was you paid $15,000 for a mastermind.
Yeah.
5 years ago, you were waiting tables.
Yeah.
Thinking about, probably the same thing I did whenever I was waiting tables. Man, all these rich guys coming in, not tipping me and blah, 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 blah. Like, thinking $100 was a lot,
Yeah.
Like, and now it's like, you're paying $15,000 for a complete mindset transformation. That's what we're paying for. I will pay a lot of money if there's somebody who can shift my mindset. For example, if he were to take my money, which he won't, Alex Ramosi would be the guy, right?
Yeah.
Like I've been following him before he got big.
Yeah.
Dude, he has a way of completely shifting mindsets, right? So but he won't take the money, right?
Yeah.
That's the crazy part about it. Like
Not here to sell you anything.
Exactly. So what he's talking about here, guys, I know a lot of you guys probably aren't, you're probably thinking, yeah, this is all bullshit, right? Like I guarantee you that's what you're thinking. I used to think the same thing. So did Cameron. Like we both thought the same thing. We came into the phone flipping space almost the exact same way, right? We were waiting tables, broke as fuck. And, we did this thing and it worked. And then we gradually went up. Yeah, of course, there's going to be hiccups. And, when you don't follow the process, bad things happen. Like, it is what it is, right? And then, you level up. My level up was when I joined Clients and Community. It was the most I'd ever paid for a program ever in my life. But the mindset shift, whenever I made that first high ticket sale, everything like clicked like that quick. And I mean, at the end of the day, like it is what you think, like, I like what Hormozi says is like, if you want to solve like bigger problems, you need to start asking bigger questions.
Oh yeah.
Like the types of questions that most people ask are about very small problems, right?
Yeah.
For me, questions are now like, okay, how do I help 1,000 people, be successful at this reselling thing so they can go off and do what Camron has done? Many of my students, guys, are now going into real estate, wholesaling. Some of them are going into marketing and starting their own agencies. And a lot of their skill sets they learned from reselling.
Yeah.
But it's shifting their mindset now because they've made some money here, right? And now they can go here. So,
and it's not just about the money, it's about the awareness and the skill sets that you can transfer and plug into different industries. It's universal. I remember even right now, currently to this day, I still use Aaron's negotiating script when communicating with people, man. I use the okay, great thing all the fucking time. And it's right.
What's funny is Aaron actually joined the Reselling program a while back, which was pretty cool.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, it was super cool. That was a full circle thing. But yeah, dude, I use his stuff too. That's called skill stacking, right? That's what I call it anyway. Is like you're stacking these different skills. The great thing about skills is you can build them, they're tax-free, and they build upon each other, which is great.
Yeah. And they stay with you for life. I mean, obviously, if you use them, they're with you for life. They don't go away, and they open up doors and opportunities that you never even would have known were there in the first place. And that's the thing. I think back and I reflect upon the time when I was, flipping phones, and I thought that was kind of the pinnacle.
Yeah.
But there's always another level. There's always a new level of awareness, a new level of income, a new level of living. And when I look back now, I realize that phone flipping was ultimately a gateway for me to move on to better things. And that's, I think one of my messages to anybody watching this who is a full-time reseller or who aspires to be a full-time reseller or even part-time, whatever your involvement with reselling is, just know that it truly is a gateway, a stepping stone, like Chris says, to bigger and better things. I mean, I think the most money I ever made reselling was a little bit over 10 grand in 1 month. I average 25,000 a month on an okay month right now. And that's like an okay month for me versus back then 10K was like that was like the pinnacle. That was like the height of luxury to me. Now 25K is like, whatever, let's go for 50.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just that different level of awareness that I never would have had if I didn't start with phone flipping and stack that skill, which led me into different opportunities.
Dude, 100%. So what are you doing now? Like, what's your thing now?
Yeah.
So fast, I can't even keep up.
Dude, I can't even keep up. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I work for a company called Executive Career Upgrades. It's a coaching company. They offer career coaching for VPs, directors, executives who are looking for a career shift. So we help people find their dream job at the
Nice.
very high level corporate, kind of corporate level.
Nice.
And yeah, dude, I'm managing a team of 10 salespeople.
Wow. Look at
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
from
it's
phone flipper to managing 10 plus salespeople on a sales team. How much do you guys do a month in revenue?
we
If you can
average
share that.
about, yeah, between 5 to 600K a
Wow.
month, but that's we just hired a bunch of people,
Yeah.
and the 5 to 600K number was, I think that was when we had like 4 or 5 or 6 closers. Now that we have
Yeah.
10, we're pacing for 8, 9, probably $1 million a month and
Amazing, dude.
onwards. Yeah,
Amazing.
so big stuff.
That's awesome, dude. I gotta hop off here shortly because I got a sales call myself. But um, is there anything you would tell like the people, because the people that are gonna be watching this are, people who used to be in spots like us, right?
Yeah.
They are the servers, they are the people who are working the 9 to 5 thinking there's not a way out. What would you tell those people about the reselling industry? Yeah, let's just do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever you feel stuck, I know you have a journey. I have a journey. We've both felt stuck at
Yep.
some point, hopeless at some point. Whenever you feel stuck, there's 2 things to lean into that will break you out of it by law. Number 1 is persistence. So whenever you think there's no point in continuing, whenever you think there's no point in starting a business, whenever you think there's no point in putting up another ad or responding to another lead or just carrying on for another day in your reselling business or even starting a reselling business, persist, because even I don't remember what the quote is, but even the darkest night will always be followed by dawn
Yeah.
eventually. So persistence is number 1. The second thing, and this is probably the biggest game changer for me, when you feel like you're stuck, lean into service. Whenever you feel like you have a problem, find other people who have a problem, help people solve their problems, and your problem will go away. So
That's big
in the
right there. Yeah.
in the context of phone flipping, it's like, how do we do that with phone flipping? Don't look at phone flipping as a way to make extra money for yourself. Sure, you'll pocket some cash, you'll make some good money, you'll open up some doors, you'll do all the stuff that, Chris and I talked about on this call, but think of it as a way to better someone's life.
Yep.
I'm going to have a really cool conversation with this person. I'm just going to, as I'm negotiating with them, I'm going to make them feel cool. I'm going to make them feel interesting. When I meet up with them, I'm going to treat them like a really important person. I'm going to use that butterfly method, the butterfly effect method. I'm going to create a repeat customer out of this person. I'm going to create a memorable experience for this person and not just be another guy buying their used phone. I'm going to treat this person special. I'm going to lean into that service and make that person feel gratitude for having interacted with me. And if I do that enough times with enough people, then my problem will go away.
Yeah.
And it does. And it gets better and better and better. So again, if you're stuck, lean into persistence and lean into service and watch what happens.
No, that's huge, dude. Most people don't realize that. Like whenever I go to do a meetup, and I still do to this day, because I practice what I preach, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, how do I turn this person into a repeat customer? What do I do? Let me give them a compliment on that necklace they have or that ring they have, right? Guys, you guys have and you know where I learned that? Number 1, I learned it from How to Win Friends and Influence People, but it was reinforced by Brady, actually.
Oh yeah.
Like, because he talks about that. He talks about, complimenting somebody on the sales call, right?
Yeah.
Or I guess the call anyway. He doesn't really call it sales calls, but it's huge. Well, Camron, dude, I really appreciate you coming on here, man. This has been fun, and we'll have to do it again as you level up even more, which is always awesome to see, man. Like I haven't even been able to keep up with how much you've grown, and that's a good sign,
Yeah.
So I hope to do this again in the future and see you at an even further level along with myself, obviously. And appreciate you coming on, man. So
Yeah.
we'll do this.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. This is an awesome conversation, and yeah, let's connect again soon.
Fantastic. If you guys want to watch more of the Marketing Reseller podcast, I am going to be putting out videos at least once a week. They will be on Apple and other places like that soon. I don't know how to do that yet. It's another skill set I got to learn, but it is what it is. Probably just pay somebody to do it for me. But they will be put out. And if you guys want free reselling information, free marketing information, check out my YouTube channel. We are closing in on 1,000 videos. 1,000. And I give away more than anybody in the industry, just so you guys know, by far. If you want to learn how to get to 10,000 a month, you can do it with my YouTube channel alone.
Yeah.
So, but if you want help, obviously, hit us up on the team, and we'll get you in our Reseller program and make it all happen in a week. Not 4,000 or whatever that is, but start your business in 1 week, which has been pretty cool. We got a lot of people doing that. But thanks for coming on, Camron. Keep crushing it, bro.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.